You're scrolling again. It's 1 in the morning. Your eyes burn from the blue light. Your mind is numb, but you can't stop. A silent, endless cascade of images and opinions, none of which you will remember tomorrow. You have a dozen tasks, a dozen obligations waiting for you in the morning. The very thought of them doesn't spark motivation, but a quiet, heavy dread. You feel like you're running a race, a frantic, desperate race against an opponent who knows your every weakness, because that opponent is you. This feeling, this constant grinding exhaustion, we've been told it's a personal failure, a lack of discipline, a failure to optimize. We're told to hustle harder, to sleep faster, to be more productive. We download another app, read another life hack article, and still the emptiness grows. But what if this exhaustion isn't a personal failure at all? What if it's a symptom of the world we live in? What if it's a cage, a perfectly designed, invisible prison? A prison we not only accept, but one we have willingly, even enthusiastically, built for ourselves. To understand this prison, we must turn to a philosopher who has diagnosed our specific moment in history. His name is Byung-Chul Han, a Korean-German thinker who argues that 21st century society is defined by a unique kind of sickness. It's not the viral, bacterial sickness of past eras, it's a neurological sickness. Depression, anxiety, ADHD, and above all, burnout. He calls our world the Burnout Society. Han's central idea is that we have transitioned from what he calls a disciplinary society to an achievement society. The disciplinary society, the world of the 20th century, was a world of walls, rules, and prohibitions. It was defined by what you should not do. Think of factories, prisons, barracks, schools. These were institutions of confinement governed by external forces of discipline. The mantra was no. But our society, the Achievement Society, is different. Its walls have dissolved. It is a society of open plan offices, freelance gigs, and personal branding. It is no longer defined by what you should not do, but by the infinite, crushing possibility of what you can do. The new mantra is, yes, we can. Nothing is impossible.
And here lies the sinister genius of this new form of power. In the disciplinary society, you had a master, a boss, a guard telling you what to do. You had an external force to resist, to fight against. But in the Achievement Society, that master has disappeared, or rather, the master has moved inside your own head. We are no longer disciplined by others. We discipline ourselves. Han calls this self-exploitation. The achievement subject, the modern individual, believes they are free, but they are, in fact, both master and slave, perpetrator and victim. We freely, even eagerly, push ourselves to the point of collapse. We compete not against our colleagues, but against our own potential. We are in a constant race to outdo ourselves, to jump over our own shadow. This is a race with no finish line, and the result is not liberation, but burnout. The depressive, exhausted individual has not been defeated by an external enemy, but has ground themselves down. This self-exploitation is amplified by another modern phenomenon Han calls hyperattention. Our digital environment bombards us with an endless stream of stimuli, notifications, emails, updates, messages. This doesn't make us more focused. It creates a shallow, scattered, and restless mode of attention. Han argues this is not progress, but a regression. Multitasking, he notes, is a technique for survival common among wild animals. An animal in the wilderness cannot afford to focus deeply on one thing. It must constantly scan the environment for threats and opportunities. This is the state we now inhabit. We have lost the capacity for contemplation, for deep, slow thought. We have lost what Han calls profound boredom, the peak of mental relaxation, the quiet space where creativity and genuine insight are born. Instead, we fill every spare moment with stimulation, with noise. We have become, in his words, an animal laborans, a working animal that exploits itself voluntarily until it collapses. This is the invisible prison. It has no bars, but it is everywhere.
We have diagnosed the prison. Its architecture is performance, its bars are positivity, and its guard is our own ambition. But if we are holding the key, how do we learn to use it? The answer doesn't come from a new productivity app or a new management technique. It comes from a 2,000-year-old philosophy, born in the marketplaces of ancient Athens and perfected in the halls of Roman power. It is called Stoicism. The Stoics were masters of the human mind. They were philosophers, but they were also generals, emperors, slaves, and merchants. They lived in a world of chaos, plagues, wars, and political turmoil. And their entire philosophy was designed for one purpose: to build an inner citadel, a fortress of the mind that could not be breached by external chaos, to achieve what they called apatheia, not apathy, but a state of serene, untroubled calm. At the very heart of this ancient operating system for the mind is a single, profoundly powerful idea. It is the key to unlocking the prison of burnout. It comes to us from Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and became one of the most respected philosophers in the Roman Empire. He called it the Dichotomy of Control. The idea is deceptively simple. Epictetus begins his handbook by stating, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." That's it. The entire task of life for a Stoic is to learn to distinguish between these two categories and to act accordingly. So what is within our power? The Stoics argued that there are very few things, primarily our opinions, our judgments, our motivations, our desires, and our actions. In a word, our own choices. Everything that is a product of our own will.
And what is not within our power? Everything else. Our body, it can get sick. Our property, it can be lost or stolen. Our reputation, it depends on the opinions of others, the actions of other people, the weather, the past, the future, the outcome of our efforts. We can influence these things, but we can never have complete, absolute control over them. This is where we go wrong. This is how we build our prison. We spend our lives consumed with anxiety, frustration, and fear over things that are fundamentally outside our control. We are furious that traffic is bad. We are devastated by what someone else thinks of us. We are crippled by the fear of failure, an outcome we can never guarantee. Byung-Chul Han's achievement subject is miserable precisely because they have staked their entire sense of self-worth on achieving outcomes that are ultimately not up to them. They are trying to control the uncontrollable, and that is a recipe for madness. The Stoic, by contrast, focuses their energy entirely on the domain of their own choice. They pour their effort into being prepared, into acting with virtue, into making wise judgments. And then they practice a radical acceptance of the outcome, whatever it may be. As Cicero explained, a Stoic archer does everything in their power to aim straight. That is their task. But whether the arrow hits the target is not entirely up to them. A gust of wind, a sudden movement, these are external factors. Hitting the mark is preferred, but it is not required for their tranquility. Their self-worth is tied to the quality of their aim, not the result. This is not a philosophy of passive resignation. It is a philosophy of immense power and liberation. It is the ability to walk through chaos with an unshakable inner peace. It is the key to the prison.
If this idea of separating what you can and can't control resonates with you, let us know in the comments. What is one thing you've been worrying about that is truly outside your control? Let's build a space where we can learn to let go together. Welcome to the Think Abyss. So, how do we apply this ancient key to our modern locks? How do we use the dichotomy of control to dismantle the Burnout Society in our own lives? Let's get practical. Let's apply it to the three arenas of modern suffering: our work, our relationships, and our digital lives. First, work burnout. You have a critical project with an impossible deadline. Your boss is stressed and your colleagues are unreliable. The achievement subject obsesses over the uncontrollable. What if we fail? What will my boss think? Why isn't my team working harder? This leads to anxiety and paralysis. The Stoic practitioner performs a mental sort. What is outside my control? The deadline, my boss's mood, the performance of my colleagues, the final outcome. What is within my control? My preparation, the quality of my own contribution, my attitude in the face of pressure, my decision to rest and recharge when the workday is done, rather than ruminating on what might go wrong. By focusing only on their own actions, they reclaim their agency and peace, ironically increasing the chances of a successful outcome.
Second, relationship anxiety. We crave the approval of others. We worry about our reputation. We are hurt by criticism and desperate for praise. The achievement subject sees social interaction as a performance, a stage on which their value is judged. This makes them inauthentic and perpetually anxious. The Stoic applies the dichotomy. What others think of me is not in my control. Their opinions are a product of their own values, biases, and moods. Whether they like me or not is their business. What is in my control? To be an honest person, to be a kind person, to be a good listener, to act with integrity. The Stoic focuses on their character, not their reputation. They offer their best self to the world and accept that they cannot control the reception. This is the foundation of genuine confidence. Finally, digital overload, the source of our hyperattention, the engine of our distraction. The achievement subject feels compelled to engage with every stimulus. They fear missing out. They feel a duty to be constantly available, constantly informed, constantly performing online. The Stoic understands that the algorithm is outside their control. The endless stream of information is outside their control. But their attention is within their control. They can choose to put the phone down. They can choose to turn off notifications. They can choose to schedule time for deep, focused work. They can choose to embrace what Byung-Chul Han called profound boredom, to go for a walk without a podcast, to sit in silence, to allow their mind to wander and contemplate. 3 and 4. They understand that true productivity and peace come not from more information, but from the deliberate, controlled application of their focus. This is the ultimate act of rebellion against the Burnout Society.
The prison of burnout is not made of steel and concrete. It is made of our own judgments. It is built from the belief that our worth is measured by our performance and from the exhausting attempt to control a world that will never fully submit to our will. We have diagnosed this prison and we have found the key. The key is the wisdom to know the difference between what is ours and what is not. To pour our soul into our efforts, but to release our attachment to the fruits of those efforts. To build our home not in the shifting sands of external validation, but on the bedrock of our own character. We call this channel Think Abyss. For many, the abyss is a symbol of despair, of nihilism, of the terrifying emptiness that comes when we question everything. And the modern world, with its noise and its frantic pace, does everything it can to keep us from looking into it. But the Stoics and the great contemplative thinkers throughout history knew that the abyss is not empty. It is a space of profound stillness. It is the home of deep thought. It is the place we must go to find what is real, what is true, and what is truly ours. When you stare into the abyss of your own mind, free from the noise of the achievement society, you may find that something powerful, something calm, something free is looking back.
This journey doesn't end here. To continue exploring the tools for a resilient mind, subscribe and join the Think Abyss community. In our next video, we'll explore the Stoic art of negative visualization to build unbreakable resilience. And for those who want to go deeper into the ideas we discussed today, check out our playlist on modern thinkers right here on the screen. Reclaim your mind.